Hello, and welcome to season 2 of Dinner for Wolf, a movie podcast where three friends in three different states get together to talk about good, bad movies, and you can watch them if you want to, too. We're after our recap episode for season 1, we're getting back into the meat of things with The BeastMaster. This movie came out in 1982, the sword and sorcery film directed by Don Coscarelli, written by Don Coscarelli, and starring Mark Singer, Tanya Roberts, John Amos, Rip Torn, and Rip Torn's prosthetic nose. It's loosely based on a 1959 novel, The Beastmaster, which this one's more Conan-y, came out about 3 months after Conan. The novel is a brief summary. It's about a former soldier who has empathic and telepathic connections with a group of genetically altered animals and is a Navajo man, and it is a science fiction setting. So they took some liberties here. Let's play. How much? I am Dr. Blue Little, and I'm joined here by my companions.
Grey Wolf.
And I'm Red Loomis.
Gentlemen, what do you keep in mind? 1982 inflation, not always as high as it's been in the current day. How much do you think this movie cost to make?
I'm guessing 8 million.
All right, Greg?
11 million.
Pretty close. 9 million. And how do you think it did on that return?
Ooh,
What do you think it grossed?
You know what? This movie isn't like famous for being a flop. On box office return, maybe 6.
Red?
Well, this thing has been played on TBS for like ages,
Yep.
so I'm assuming that it made its box office and its like commercialization. So, and it spawned like a million other like kind of spin-offs. So I'm guessing it made probably 20 million box office.
About in between 14.1, but yeah, it
wow.
ran all the time on poking around on this. For a while, HBO was called Hey Beastmaster's On, and think it was just on so much, but that's not so much in the box office.
You know who came up with that joke?
I do not.
It was Dennis Miller.
I literally forgot Dennis Miller existed until you said it.
Yeah. Dennis Miller came up with a "Hey Beastmaster's on" is
if
what
this
HBO
was
stands for.
1995, that would have been like real topical. But yeah,
Whatever happened to Dennis Miller?
He got annoying, and I don't actively know that he's alive. We should what if you should look that up as a briefly. So Don Coscarelli directed and wrote. He had a co-writer who didn't do all that much outside of this. Coscarelli he did every Phantasm movie ever, this and Bubba Hotep, and a bunch of stuff I've never heard of, which for most people should include Bubba Hotep, and that's about it. So he pretty much did this. One other thing we're gonna try out here today, fans, is we're calling it a speed run. We don't want to get as bogged down in going over individual parts of the movies as our own take on it. So Gray is gonna run us through the general plot in 2 minutes?
Yeah, I want to try for 2 minutes. I mean, we're not going to set a clock or anything, but
I'm going to set a clock.
All right. Well,
the enforcer.
All right, you tell me when to go, Red, and I'll run us through the.
Well, there's no time limit, but we'll see if we can beat your time next pod. All right.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go.
All right. In the kingdom of Uruk, 3 otherwise attractive 24-year-old witches with baloney on their faces prophesies to Mad Mayax that King Zed's unborn son will kill him. Mayax has one of his baloney faces attempt a Rube Goldberg-style assassination by using a drizzle of glow stick juice to transfer the fetus into a cow so she can kill it when it's in the cow, but a villager randomly saves the day. Fast forward 25 years and we meet Dar, a low-rent Conan with Dr. Dolittle twist, with the same animal communication power as the Heart Kid from Captain Planet. Mayax's crew promptly kills the village, but Dar conveniently survives. Dar wanders around and makes friends with an eagle, 2 ferrets, and a tiger while thinking about revenge. Mayax commits Dar commits some light sexual predator felonies, creeping on a slave girl, and temporarily goes to some kind of bird hell, but the bird demons worship eagles, and Dar is friends with an eagle, so apparently that's all it takes to get a pass out of bird hell. Dar makes some friends and tries to follow the slave girl that he was rapey with earlier, discovers that Mad Mayax is sacrificing kids on the reg. Dar and his crew bust into the temple to save the imprisoned King Zed. Zed tries to battle Mayax's cult and gets walloped immediately. Dar comes back to save everyone, Zed's dead, and a final showdown ensues with Mayax and Dar. One of the ferrets sacrifices itself to finish off Mayax, but then the cult returns to avenge their dead leader, and the Beastmaster springs a trap and burns most of the cultists alive, and the survivors get banished to Bird Hell. Dar turns down an offer to be king and heads out with his animal friends and his new girlfriend.
1 minute, 24 seconds.
That was a good summary. Two small kibbles. First of all, that was amazing, and I already love this segment. Two small things to push back on. I think the plan is a strong word, was for whatever reason to put the baby into the cow, but then they took it out to brand it, and then so they were going to kill it in the cow. They're using a cow to steal it. Why? I don't know. I assume for an explanation as to why I could talk to animals later. Whatever.
That's the whole charm of it, you know. Like,
and it wasn't a. It was a. Well, maybe this is a correction. I don't know if you're talking about the real life animal. It was a like panther, but they apparently. I guess panthers are harder to train than lions, and they dyed a bunch of tigers black, and you can regularly see the dye running off in the movie.
Yeah. Wikipedia calls it a black tiger, which isn't a thing in real real world.
Okay. Well, I guess that's the Beastmaster canon.
Yeah. So the Rube Goldberg assassination was actually even more complicated than I said.
Yes.
Now
was so weird.
Now here's the thing with that. They like there's this whole convoluted like let's move the fetus to a cow and then we'll take it out and we'll brand it, and like the only time I could think that would even be remotely worth doing is if they want it to be a secret and for the king and his wife to not know that they're stealing the baby, but they're wide awake while it happens, and
they're like reveling in them being wide awake, and like it's so weird.
It was before the days of carriages, you know, those little jogging carriages. You just didn't have them. You didn't need a cow.
And they also took it like it looked like they took the new human pregnant cow lady mom like 30 yards and then just like set up camp. Like it did not look like they went far.
No, you can't take a pregnant cow too far.
Yeah. And apparently in those like 15 minutes it was in the cow, it came to full term because he was able to give birth and brand it and have it not have, immediately die.
Yeah.
So for the Beastmaster, we talk about kind of we're gonna go to our regular format where we talk about kind of the amazing things that we got from this movie, all the nutritional value of the Beastmaster. Okay. And then we'll go into other things about what could have been a little bit different, a little bit our critique. Not everything was a chef's kiss, but it was pretty close. Now,
speaking of all the food stuff, like he eats meat in this movie. Is that's weird, right? Like,
well, I mean, just because you could talk to animals doesn't mean you're friends with all of them.
Yeah, exactly.
But you don't think there's like some residual, like empathic, like I think
he has to try pretty hard, and it makes it easier sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's not an automatic thing. I think he has to decide to activate that power.
That's fair.
And talk to his stupid ferrets.
That's fair. And maybe some animals are jerks. Maybe he only eats jerks. We don't know.
Yeah, it's true.
And let's be honest, animals are delicious.
Yeah,
that is true.
I mean,
I really like
he has a tiger. The tiger's not gonna be just eating tofu. The tiger's gonna eat other animals. It's like and the hawk. They just like they have a kind of a mutual agreement not to eat each other at that one point.
Right. I think ferrets also eat. They like prairie dogs or something.
Yeah,
Something.
So when we're talking about the Beastmaster, this is a movie that was made in 1982, and for the longest time, I thought that this was a kind of a cheap copy of Conan the Barbarian. It is not. It is actually a precursor to Conan the Barbarian.
Well, I think a lot of the summer, right? Yeah.
But here's the thing: the director for the Beastmaster, 1982. I think Conan came out in 1984, right?
No, Conan came out
the same year.
Before. Conan came out a few months before, but it was like tight enough that they couldn't have watched Conan.
I think the director was asked to direct Conan.
Really?
Maybe Destroyer.
Maybe Destroyer. It's possible.
Yeah, because Barbarian also came out in 82. This is almost like when all those weird Hollywood like race to the box office. There's two scripts that are too similar.
Right. Like Armageddon and Deep Impact. But yeah, it's not a copy. They did their own thing at about the same time.
So they chose, like a moderately fit, like ugly Mark Hamill to kind of play Dar the Beastmaster. And for the longest time, I thought that this guy, because he was, not relatively attractive at all, was because he was like an animal trainer or something. That's why he was like, but it was not. He's just an actor. He's in a lot of movies, actually. And there's actually a lot of weird actors in this. And one of my favorite parts is Rip Torn is in this as the crazy wizard Mad Max.
Mhm.
John Amos, the guy from Welcome to America, or Welcome to America? Coming to America, yeah. And a bunch of other movies that,
Yeah.
famous
Also,
roles.
that thing I said about Rip Torn's nose. So I'll have some other tidbits because there's some. I didn't watch the director's commentary. I'm not that dedicated to this pod, but there was an article that broke it down. Got some tidbits. Apparently, it was Rip Torn. Like no one said, like it wasn't in casting or production or whatever that guy Rip Torn was apparently like, I'm gonna wear this prosthetic nose. I think this character will wear that. I'm Rip Torn.
Rip Torn broke into a person's house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like a surprise when you say that Rip Torn is weird.
I'm glad you
That's
mentioned
true.
the nose, because one of the things I did when watching this was about 15 minutes into it. I like started doubting myself, and I was like, did Rip Torn's nose really look like that? So like I paused the movie and went and Googled Rip Torn to determine if it was prosthetic or not. Now that is not props to the prosthetic department for a good fake nose. That is just my brain being crap.
Also, Rip Torn being one of the few people that would be conceivable that could be his nose.
Yeah.
But he's young, even though they like age him up. He's like in his like maybe mid-30s, and they age him up. But he's like he's very hard to tell that is actually Rip Torn.
Yeah, like the voice is the biggest giveaway. Like his face is like really done up.
Yeah, it's pretty much Men in Black, and you're just like, oh, the guy from Men in Black. Yeah.
The exact quote to the director's talking, saying of Rip Torn, he came to me and said, "quote I want to play this role like a turkey vulture." Unquote.
Okay.
So yeah.
So another like actors, amazing cast of just like young actors that are gonna be like not super famous, but they were gonna be in roles like this. Like Tanya Roberts, she's in Sheena, she's in a bunch of them. She's topless in most of them, And
she was she was like in the final couple of seasons of the original run of Charlie's Angels.
Oh really? Oh
yeah. So that's what she did before BeastMaster. So she was in like the last 2 seasons of Charlie's Angels, then BeastMaster, then the rest of her career.
Huh, interesting. Yeah, so she's like a B list starlet where, she's in sci-fi, sword and sorcery type things. Right. And again, the 80s is like just a huge like plethora of sword and sandals movies. And like this was one of my favorites actually when I was a kid, like because it was on TV.
I love this movie as a kid. I love this movie as a kid.
Yeah, Tanya Roberts. Tanya Roberts is who you call if you need someone who has a recognizable face, competent acting, and will show her boobs.
Yeah, exactly. And I was actually surprised that we gave everyone a choice between 2 movies to do. We were going to either do Neverending Story or Beastmaster, and Blue actually chose Beastmaster, even though so many animals die. Like
yeah, and look, it was rough, especially early on. When the dogs drag, not they all, the dog and the ferret die, but
but I think it's the emotional weight though. I think at the end of the day, all of these animals dying is still only half as sad as the horse in Neverending Story.
Exactly.
That's true, yeah.
Because Neverending Story, friggin' Artax man. But why do you have to remind me of that? The whole point was to watch this, so I didn't have to confront Artax drowning in the swamp of sorrows. You monster!
I'm here for you.
Still. Hey, but here's the other thing, that this movie was like, I don't know if they still had the ASPCA to do, like, while filming, but they threw ferrets like they were, like, boomerangs. It was awesome. It was just they treated animals like crap in this movie.
I'm glad you brought this up, because this actually stresses me out, and, like, I didn't find detail on that. But we're talking about, like, the not quite star-powered level of the stars of this movie that apparently applied to the animal. Like, they didn't get good animals for this movie.
They were B-list animal actors too.
They were B-list animal actors. So again,
how many ferrets do you think they went through? I think they went through at least. They drowned one. They're just like, let's put this one in the water and just like spin them around.
I've not heard
And
anything
they just
about
like
them.
throw ferrets around, just like, ugh, get this ferret. Like,
I've not heard anything of them killing animals, but here again from the commentary, the animals were another area that fell outside their control. Instead of getting fully trained creatures they needed, they instead got bargain basement animal actors because there were budget issues.
yeah.
Quote, every time a new animal would arrive on set, we'd find out they couldn't do anything, basically, said Cascarelli.
Like,
And I think
here's
the most...
a ferret.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
I think the most
we
egregious
need more
of them...
ferrets.
Hold on, this is the best part. And I think the most egregious of them was this bird which really wouldn't even fly. End quote. So apparently
I
what they
read
had
somewhere,
to do, it
they
goes on
threw
for a
it.
bit.
Yeah, they threw the bird
They
all the
hook it
time.
up in a helium balloon with like a remote controlled door in it, opened the door so that it would fall out and like fly back
Yeah.
down to Earth. That is how they got the eagle to fly.
So like if you watch it, like all of the scenes with the bird are B-roll. Like there's never like a scene with the bird. It's just like here's the
No.
bird with the sky, here's the bird looking over here. Like
Yep.
and it's like it's nighttime, but the bird's like in daylight and he's just like looking around.
Yeah.
It's just like okay.
Yeah, and I read somewhere, I couldn't find it when I was looking back for the notes, but that the ferrets just constantly had to have like food off, like they weren't really trained. They're just like, let's get a ferret to do.
Well, yeah, because you
something.
can't train like ferrets are untrainable. They're
Oh,
just,
really?
they're-
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just looked it up. I was trying to look up how many ferrets died in the making of this, and I can't find that. So we don't have to confront that fact, Blue. But they used 25 different ferrets. 25 ferrets were
Jesus.
used to put. Now, can we assume 23 out of 25 died?
Yeah. This movie
what-
is like 40 years old, so all the animals are dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
Oh, now they are. Yeah. But,
Yeah, they're
yeah.
all dead.
One more animal fact here. So this is, and so there's a word in this first sentence that I think is key, and I'll read off this thing and I'll see if you gentlemen key on the same word. The script originally asked for a black leopard, but the trainers decided tigers were more easily trained and chose to simply dye some tigers black. And then the dye wore off quickly, and that's why you still see
Yeah.
still see mouth. And apparently at some point somebody tried to convince Cascarelli that the dye was killing the tigers because he likes animals and they thought it would make him sad. Apparently that didn't happen. But that first sentence, the script originally asked for a black leopard, but the trainers decided tigers were more easily trained. What's the word you key on? Decided for me. Not new, not discovered, not deduced. Decided. I get the distinct impression like tigers have got to be easier. Like just based on nothing. And
Well, I mean, how many panthers are like actual like black panthers are like walking around and
tigers are walking around. Like not a ton. Probably more, but like are they easier trained? I don't know.
it's, I leave it to the professionals, the professional ferret tossers that they know like that panthers are, you can't toss panthers and you can do so a little easier with tigers.
Oh, and apparently and this is a good rule, but like I guess regulations or what have you, like you couldn't have. It was fine to have tigers on set with adults, but not with kids. So whenever there's a shot with like the young king, they had like, a like undersized person wearing a wig to look like the kid, and like plexiglass between. Then like that's how they got those shots.
That's funny. Because I think the industry term is ferret slingers.
Ah, there we go. There we go.
And my final thing that I love about this movie, the props and the costumes, literally the best. Like, and I'm not being sarcastic about like the little throwing like boomerang. They only use it once, but it's cool. And like, it's a cool thing. I remember even seeing it now as an adult. You're just like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. A little switch like hand throw axe thing, and the sword. It's like it's not like an Atlantean sword or anything, but it's unique enough.
Yeah, it's an iconic sword. I'll give it that.
Yeah,
and then
I'm here. Sorry, go ahead.
And then everyone, wearing leather diapers. That's like.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, you said earlier the guy wasn't like. I will say the guy who played Dar, forget his name. Like his face not great. He got pretty ripped. We're comparing him to like Code, like Arnold
he got 80s
Schwarzenegger.
ripped.
Yeah, but he's pretty ripped in this. Like he got pretty jacked. But
yeah, he's in really good shape in a non-steroid way. So this movie I only saw in bits and pieces. Like watching it for this pod was the first time I saw it beginning to end in one sitting. I had seen overlapping every part of the movie probably 10 times, but I'd never watched the whole thing before because I'd only seen it on TNT as a child.
Yeah, so I'll be curious for your perspective, might be between, but like, so I had seen it, I've seen it many times, bits and pieces. I had also sat and watched it as a kid, right? But I knew, like, I enjoyed watching this movie, but this is not a good movie, right? Like, I
Of
had
course.
fun, but like, I'd be curious for how much of this was like I enjoyed this movie because I enjoyed this movie, and how much of this was just reliving being 8.
Yeah, so yeah, that's kind of where I was. So like there's a bunch of sequences and scenes that I remember from being a kid and like catching it like on cable. But to be frank, I spent about half this movie being mad at myself that I didn't say let's watch Neverending Story.
It's not even
Yeah, we'll
short.
get-
It's like 2 hours long. It's like
We'll
it's
get
not
to
even
the we'll get to
long.
the point where we talk about things that we would have changed or things that were glaringly bad about this movie. But let's talk about what worked in this movie.
Okay.
I mean, I think the cons like look, these were bad animals, but like for the most part, they got
Just like
shots
animals.
of animals. Like, well, true, but like they got the ferrets to run away with his satchel, and like they got them to do animal things that were
Yeah.
kind of zany. Like, I think the concept, while definitely forced, they made work, right? I mean, there was some internal logic there, but like I don't know.
You know, I was push back on that just a tiny bit. I know that part of it is the budget and the 80s-ness of it all,
Right.
and then working within their limitations as far as special effects and the way they could film things. But I feel like as someone coming in cold, this movie didn't have enough beastmasting.
Yes.
You know what?
Yeah, I was a
That's
little limited
true.
on them.
I feel
Well,
like it was more like Conan light, and occasionally animals do things for him.
You know what? That's a fair, because yeah, I mean, okay, this tiger's gonna eat this guy for me. Sorry,
Right,
panther.
like for
Right,
example,
like there's not a lot of him like commanding them to
right,
do.
like
Right.
every time people showed up on a horse, I was like, "Oh, is he gonna just tell the horse to run away?"
Yeah, yeah,
And nope, never happened. Never talked to a
that's
horse,
fair.
not once. Hundreds of horses, never talked to a single horse.
That's a good point.
Like I was just like, I kept waiting for more beastmasting. I was like, this guy's not
Also,
beastmasting. This guy's like beast journeyman at best.
one thing that threw me, we're supposed to be talking about the positive things. One thing that threw me is the only animal that he tried to like make the animal like he like bird noised. I don't know what you want to call it. Screeched at the eagle, but he didn't
Hmm.
go like he didn't roar at the tiger. He didn't go like I don't know what noises ferrets make at the
Hmm.
ferret. Like he just only the eagle. Is that a pecking order? Is that like is he speciest and likes eagles more? I don't know.
I don't know. How do you what do ferrets sound like? Give me your best impression of a ferret.
Yeah, what's your best
Yeah.
ferret?
Give me your best ferret.
I don't know.
No, do it a little louder. That was good. Do it a little louder.
I don't want to be on this podcast anymore.
You're the one
I mean,
complaining that he was talking to the ferrets, and you can't even do a ferret.
true. That's technically correct.
Everyone can
The
do a hawk.
Yeah, so I mean the animal stuff, to your point, Gray, it wasn't great. But animal stuff did like the theme, I mean, again, not that it's a copy of Conan, but like it's sorcery, and like, you get the feeling of like it being that poor village and of adopt, like it sets that character's early life up
Yeah.
well, and
I
why
mean,
he's
a
doing it.
lot of it was like very like I was just like, man, this is such a ripoff of Conan, and I love that movie. But it came out either before or simultaneously as Conan, so it had like
Right.
all these kind of these points, right? That you
Right,
just like,
right.
and
That's the
I
thing.
even the riding barbarians, like I was just like, isn't that helmet from Conan?
Right.
Like
I know.
Like when they're coming
Yup.
over the hill, and you're
Yeah.
like, is that the set helmet with the two snakes?
Yeah, it looks
together?
like-
No, not quite.
and he's
but,
searching
like,
for like
yeah.
the symbol, and he's like, and there's these
Yeah.
notes that are just like, oh, this is so familiar.
There's so many story beats that I'm just like, I kept thinking, well, Conan did this better. Conan did this better. But
Yeah.
if Conan didn't exist, this would have been pretty dope. It's
Yeah.
just at the end of the day, Conan did like 8 out of this movie's 10 cool things better.
Right, and the issue is like this felt like Conan with less. Like, I'm actually checking Conan's budget as we do this, but okay. Conan had double the budget, right? And like,
Yeah,
that's
that makes
what
sense.
This feels like it does this. It has the same beats and the same arcs, but like it's just like Conan wouldn't have needed budget ferrets. Conan would have
Right.
gotten
Well,
that.
that's the thing.
Conan
This
would have
was-
gotten that good ferret. That like maybe not ferrets because you can't trade. They would have gotten a real panther that you didn't dye, and the dye leaked out around the mouth when it would drink water, and it would be the
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah. So Conan. Well, not only did Conan have double the money, Conan didn't have to blow any of its budget on animals.
Yeah.
So
I think
things
I forget who said it. There's just like, don't work with kids or animals like in a movie because like
Yep.
Right.
two worst
So-
things. Then.
As far as things this movie did well, I did kind of like, even though it made no sense, I did kind of like the surreal, like Birdman hell.
Yeah.
It's so out of place. Like,
It is.
It's out of nowhere.
yeah,
and
it's
it-
so
it
like
really is.
weird, and it has no like, I
like the payoff is just that's how the cultists get eaten later, but like,
yeah.
but there's
Are these
no
bad guys?
explanation as to
Like-
why that other
Yep.
world exists. None
Yep.
of that. In fact, again, because I'm watching this out of order, when I should have watched this as a kid, the whole time there was like the bird help stuff, I kept thinking about Zack Snyder's Nightmare.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
I was like,
Or,
wait,
like-
is this the scene where Batman gets beat up by demons?
But at least the bird hell thing, like why did the bird stop attacking him? Because he has a bird and the bird listens to him. Like that makes sense.
Are the birds
Oh,
bad guys? Are
Oh
the birds
crap!
good
He's friends with
guys?
the bird.
Right.
Let's let him go.
Yeah. He's still the birds still eat people. Like they'll like left alone, they're just gonna eat random people.
Yeah.
Like, is that okay?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's fine for him. A lot of people won't suck.
Yeah, I guess so. You know, it's
Yeah.
And they went like all in. Like it's not just like half man, half bird demon things. It's half man, half bird demon things that dissolve people.
yeah.
I'm also curious how that becomes nourishment because like they wrap their wings around them and then they're just gone. And I'm like, is there a mouth there? Is there a stomach there? I don't know. They have faces.
I don't know.
It's-
Yeah,
We'll never
I
know.
also enjoyed that the way he acquires the animals. They did spend some amount of time like the ferrets steal from him and he like chases them and there's a sequence for each one. They spent some amount of time. They spent some amount of time making him get the animals, and they paid that attention. Yeah.
Speaking of which, just another quick point. Not necessarily good or bad. So the ferrets steal from him. He becomes friends with the ferrets, and then
Right.
has them steal for him. Like
Correct.
later in the movie, like he's got like a bag full of like gems and jewels and stuff that he's like, oh,
Yep.
my buddies just ganked this stuff for me. Like
Yep.
he's
Yeah.
a straight up criminal.
Oh,
But here's the thing:
absolutely.
he's not doing it. He can't. He's not
He
really
can't
the
control
BeastMaster,
those
right?
ferrets. What is
He
he, a
can't
BeastMaster?
Ferrets. He just throws them, and
Yeah,
then
we did-
sometimes they do what he needs them to do.
Yep.
Right?
He'll just like sling a ferret into a crowd and like they'll get some sticky fingers and just come
Yeah.
back with some rings.
I will say that even this is me headcanoning it and giving an excuse, but like, he commands the whatever cat we want to call it there. He commands the eagle sometimes, right? And he like sees through each of their eyes and stuff. The ferrets, he just like, he's like, yeah, they found this even when he's stealing the keys in the dungeon. Like, he just lowers the ferrets near a thing and they try to steal that thing because they're ferrets. Like, I think he might literally be like, look, ferret's gonna ferret. I just put them near things and they like this bag I have. And
Now,
yeah,
now it might be different from animal to animal. So I'm not disputing what you said. I just want to draw a parallel to another way in which he interacts with an animal, in which he turns his Black Panther tiger into an accomplice in his sexual assault.
Yeah.
Where he's like, look,
that is
just
the thing that
just
happened.
he's like, just act scary. We're gonna creep up on this girl, act scary, and I'm gonna save her.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After
this
he
would
just
not
got
fly
done
out.
like straight up gawking at her and her friend, like bathing naked.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like it is the rapiest way. Like it is the rapiest meet cute ever.
I mean, so it's
Well, it's not so much.
Just a lot of 80s movies have like Revenge of the Nerds had some rapey meet cute. And like
No, there was
a lot
legitimate,
of,
just like
there was like a lot of 80s movies were rapey. That's my only
Yeah.
point.
Well,
here.
no,
That's not to
No, I know.
excuse
Look,
this,
no.
but-
My point isn't that the movie has rapey stuff in it. Like tons of 80s movies have rapey stuff. He uses rapey stuff to get her to like him, which just isn't
yeah.
how humanity works. Like nobody's like,
Yeah.
oh man, you were creeping on me and doing this and this and this. I think I like you now. Like that's just
No,
not
yeah.
how life works.
it's so coy.
Yeah.
No, like, but it's the worst part. Like, okay, having the tiger, like, okay, that
Yeah,
that scene's fine, right?
The 80s
It's
did
still
not
like when
have
he
good-
grabs her and he's like like sniffing her hair. Is like, you've got to be careful. You've got to like, don't show fear. And just like, dude, like give her a little bit of space. Like you could do that without like groping her like immediately.
Yeah, like literally the first time he ever talks to her, his face is touching hers.
Yeah. Like I don't care who you are. Like that's not gonna fly.
Both making fun of the movie and like looking seriously. Like this and other '80s movies were not good on the consent and sexy messaging.
Oh,
like
no,
there's a lot of not great signals being sent here.
It's kind of weird how 80s movies sexuality aged worse than 60s and 70s movies sexuality.
Yeah, isn't that real? Yeah,
that's true.
It's like I think it's like things just kept progressing, and then it came to a head in the 80s, and then we had to pull back.
Yeah, everyone was just like,
like early '80s too. I feel like maybe
I think it was the cocaine. I think like everyone was on coke, so it was just like,
Yep. I think you're yeah.
All right. Well, Red, what's something that am I the only one that said something that works? What do you?
I said a lot of stuff that worked.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Great.
I'm the only one that said the stuff that I.
Oh, so there's also, you know, I said something in the speed run, but there's the sexy witches with baloney on their faces.
Yeah, I like that. Isn't that a weird like
they're just like, let's put on these like goofy rubber masks that look like melted lunch meat.
Yeah.
But we're gonna get 25-year-old models.
Yes, and they're not just random chicks. They are actual relatively famous actresses.
You know who one of them is? You know, one of them is Wayne Gretzky's wife.
What? Yeah.
Yes. Wayne Gretzky's wife is witch number 3.
Yeah.
Also, Wayne Gretzky was not famous at this point. Like he had won a couple of stand-ups at this point. Like people knew who Wayne Gretzky was. Yeah.
He had a cartoon.
Yeah. That was later. God, the Pro Stars. That was later. One
of them was a Charlie's Angel. Like another one was like they're like famous actresses, and they're just like, all right, I want you to be a witch. Like you're gonna be a hot witch, but we're gonna put a bunch of baloney on your face.
Do we think this is where? And I don't like survival horror games as much as you guys, so I never played much of these. But do we think this is where like Silent Hill and stuff like that got that like this zombie nurse? Is she sexy? You don't know. Here,
I don't know. I know it probably messed me up as a kid though. Yeah. Seeing that probably meant like it's like what is going on? Like why do they have baloney on their face? Why are they so hot?
Also quick costume mention here. Everybody's shorts have a slit all the way up to like above their head. Everyone. Like
that's not the thing that works for me. That is actually
mobility, man.
It's mobility. No, but it's not. But it's every. But it's. I mean, look. At least they can say that there's equality here because it's the BeastMaster. It's the guy from Coming to America. The little kid. The little kid has a slide all like. I don't need to see the kid's side butt. Why am I seeing an 11-year-old side butt?
And guy from Coming to America, Ava. Like to me, unless I'm remembering incorrectly, like that he had, like straps that turned into a codpiece. Like he had even less like.
You're breaking up, dude.
Yo. Blue, you're like, are you downloading something? You're breaking up on us.
No. Oh wait,
like you're on 56K.
Are you wired in?
No, hold on. Let me wire in.
Come on, man. It's like rule number 3.
Literally, rule number 3. I'm gonna leave this in, so everyone knows that you ruin this for us every time.
Rule number 1 is use your real mic. Rule number 2 is have your video on, and rule number 3 is don't be on wireless.
Good grief.
Podcasting 101.
Amateur hour. But anyways, yeah. When I said like the unique outfits work, like not for everyone. It's like
yeah.
Like well, anyway, I get, like
Coming to America guy had a series of like leather straps that turned into a codpiece. Like he got done dirty even more than most people in this movie. So yeah.
And like he doesn't really he's not like a bodybuilder, like he's not like super jacked or anything. He's just kind of like a normal dude who's big. Yeah. He's tall.
He looks like a guy you don't want to fight, but he doesn't look like right.
But I don't need to see him in a thong, you know? Like I don't need to see him in like a leather and he's just like and shall we get into what could be a little better in this our comments to the chef to the fight scenes are so bad. The fight scenes are literally like atrocious. Besides like the throwing axe, which is kind of fun. Like the sword play is like theatrical. Like you saw it on a stage. Like Peter
Yeah,
Pan.
it's totally like watching like a community production of Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
Yes,
There's a scene where he tucks the sword underneath his arm and like does the little thing like, oh, he gets stabbed, like put it to the side, like we'll do a camera angle.
there's
like,
also like it to me. You knew, and from the get go, you knew it was going to be bad because like the way. So the first scene where his balding, adopted dad fights and saves him as a baby, like he's he doesn't come off badass, right? But then later on, he's like, he knows how to use the sword, all that. So, like, is that guy a good fighter? I don't know, because in that first fight scene, he like drops the sword and falls over backwards, but then still kills the witch. Like, it's very unclear who's a good fighter and who's a bad fighter in this movie. It's
that's
very unclear.
the scene where they're testing out the hand axe and he just throws it at his friend to chop like a little bit of his friend's.
Yeah, and like expertly knocks that guy's hat off. So like then you think he's competent, but then he's like swinging around maniacally and like tripping over stuff. Like I have no idea if his father was badass or not.
I'm glad that you brought up the adopted father villager because this is back to wardrobe, not the fighting. But if you guys would just check your phone real quick, I saved this screenshot from when I watched the movie, and I have questions.
Ooh, I also have questions.
So this is after the village gets killed, and when Dar is about to go, he's about to go bring the dead dog and put the dog down on top of the
dead dog
father.
that you can see exhale when he puts it down on his dad. Yes, right, yes.
Right. Why does he have a whole bunch of straw in his underwear?
Yeah.
And why is there a hole in the front of his underwear to let some of the straw out?
Yeah, that is my like.
That.
I don't like the placement of the slit in the underwear.
There's that leather diaper is like way too. It's like literally.
It's that's where I was going with this. I think that this guy has incontinence problems, and I think this was an ancient Beastmaster World villager's diaper, in which you would have your leather underwear and you would stuff it full of straw as your diaper padding.
And instead of like suspenders like old people have now, like he just tuck his tunic into his diaper, his man diaper.
But I noticed this immediately and had to screenshot it when I watched the movie. I was like, why is this guy's underwear full of straw? Who decided to do this?
Sadly, I cannot dismiss that theory that you've presented of also things that don't work. In the scene where so there's two scenes where his dog is dragging him, right? And like the dog is shot by an arrow, dies off, very sad, right?
Yeah.
The dog, the dog's dragging him, and then it cuts back to another scene of the dog dragging him, so like he doesn't die in the weird explosion that I guess they were storing explosives in this fantasy village. And there's one point where you can see the dog like take a break and him still slide forward.
I love the dog scenes. Like when he's carrying the dog, like is the dog like knocked out? Like that scene where he's carrying the dog, it's like a stuffed animal dog or something.
Yeah,
like filled with like bean bags or something. It's just like so like limp. And then when he actually puts the dog down, and like it's breathing, of course.
Yep.
Oh, another quick plot point that doesn't work for me. In the very, very beginning, like this is what let me know I was in for a wild / bad ride. So the baloney witches are talking about how the king's unborn son is going to kill you, right? And Mayax is like, oh crap. And the king bursts in with some guards, right? And he's like, hey, we heard you're getting ready to kill an unborn baby. And Mayax goes, not just any unborn baby, yours.
Yeah.
What is happening in that moment? Like, what made him decide to be like, your baby?
Yeah. And then he just like to flex makes the two priests kill themselves.
It's just like he snaps
pretty
his fingers.
baller, right? And then
like the beginning is just
banished.
So bizarre. And then he's like, you're banished for planning to kill my baby.
Well, here's the thing, and unless I'm getting the secrets wrong, so I know at one point he said, I'm going to kill you, and then he's, I'll banish you, but my memory is that before he said it's his son, he says he's going to kill him, and after he says it's his son, it's I'm going to banish you, which seems to me the opposite progression one should have if they're, right, yeah, thank you. It just...
it's like, hey, I heard you were planning on killing a baby. And he's like, we have to kill you because you're gonna kill a baby. And he's like, not just any baby, your baby. And he's like, so we banish you.
Yeah, so
Right.
like that's He was just
Reduce
like-
sentence for proximity.
pretty much.
Right.
And it's just like the whole the whole prophecy is just like, if we don't kill this baby, like what happens? He's just like, I don't know, man. I just like killing babies.
Also, like, why his dad, the king that's blind and hates
Yeah.
him, whatever. Why he hates him is just never. It's like, you're a freak. You talk with it. Like, it's not established that that's.
Yeah.
Like, there's a quick thing early in the movie about his adoptive dad saying, "Don't tell anyone." Like, we get it, but everyone else seemed cool with it, and just like randomly, this king's like, "You're a freak, even though you saved my life. Get out!"
Yup.
Like,
Right,
Yeah.
right. They're like,
Nobody
no
thinks it's
animal
cool you
talkers.
talk to ferrets. Just like not just
Yeah.
ferrets, man.
and everyone else there's like, "I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool," but like, no one says anything because it's
Yeah.
the king.
Yeah.
Like, it's,
And then as I'm watching it, I'm like, oh man, there's so many plots and story beats that are just like Conan. And then they get to the point where Mayax is just like sacrificing kids at random just because.
Yeah.
And I'm like, isn't that the pyramid from Conan?
It looks a lot like the pyramid from Conan.
It looks
If
Like,
I didn't
it's
know,
not the pyramid from Conan, but it
Yeah.
like okay, there's also a priest on top of a pyramid sacrificing people. Like,
Yeah.
how much
But
overlap
it's
do these
smaller.
have?
yeah.
It's just
is
it's
smaller.
just slightly smaller. It's like
It's
so King Zed. So like he's a king, and his kingdom is like the size of a small community, like a small
Yes.
like
Yeah.
gated community. It's like maybe 20 people, 30 people. They have like
Yeah.
a huge like religious tower, but it's mainly the size of like a kid slide, like a really tall kid
it's
slide.
like, it's like he's like the boss of like 20 people in a McDonald's play place.
Yeah, pretty much.
Agreed.
It's,
Agreed. However, I will say that's like even it's not as egregious in this, but even in Lord of the very good, Turn of the Millennium like series, like Rohan, you see like one village in Rohan, right? And like he's a king that has all these riders and all these. So like there could be kingdom we're not seeing. Is the bone I will throw the movie there? Like
maybe.
that's all I'm saying. Like you don't see a lot of Rohan. You see like that one capital
Yeah, but
village
they-
which has like 20.
Like he has an army that comes and joins him, like when
Yeah.
like the battle occurs.
Yeah, but you don't
Like,
know where
the
that army's
riders of
coming
Rohan
from.
like return.
Right,
And-
but I'm saying,
but
like,
he
you
still
don't
only had like
see-
20 people.
Well, fair. He has less people. I'm just saying you don't see where you often don't see whole kingdom. You see like thing around where they are. That's all.
Oh,
That's all I'm saying.
He lives in a hut though.
He does live in a hut. That's harder to
Yeah.
defend. I'm not going to try to defend that.
yeah.
Somebody
you
could
do
just
not.
walk in with a cow into his bedroom.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I mean,
I-
Yeah.
they
Not much of a
did.
shake.
It's not even hypothetical.
Yeah,
you're
somebody,
just
like, literally-
describing history.
Nobody noticed.
Like
and
he's
poured, like-
he's a king with a dirt floor.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, and they poured I don't know.
Another thing that didn't work, and this is just me having to fact check everything. So when Mayax is at the top of the temple and is just like sacrificing kids at random because he claims his god demands it, and we get no payoff on that, no explanation of that. It's just like,
Nope.
yeah,
like,
he just loves
I mean-
killing kids.
right, we could read this as he's just a sociopath and like, but whatever. That aside, the eagle comes and saves the kid who's about to get like burned and like
Right.
flies off with the kid. I looked it up. You want to guess how many pounds the biggest type of eagle in the world can carry?
Like 12 pounds.
I was gonna say like 9 or 10. Like
Yeah, between 5 and 10 pounds.
Okay, yeah.
And this eagle is not the biggest type of
No,
eagle
no.
there is. Like, so golden eagles can carry between 5 and 10 pounds. This eagle could probably carry 3 to 4 pounds, and it just like yeets off his kid.
No, I will
Yeah.
say one thing. Going back to what we did like, because I forgot this one there. A specific scene in which he's blinded by whatever and hacking around blindly, and then he's like, "Wait a minute, I have a tire ligon panther, whatever, out there. It can peek through these bars, and I can stab up." I'm like, okay, that's the closest we get to actual beastmasting of actually hatching sight with that animal. But that's about back to things that don't work. Yeah, the rest is just him like taking credit for stuff animals do for him.
Yep.
Yeah.
So-
I've got so many more things that don't work. I don't know if we want to keep going or not.
Yeah, go for it. I'll cut it if it runs
Yeah.
too long.
All right. So, this movie can't decide if it's for kids or adults.
Yeah.
It is full of like sexual creeps and nudity and like
Yeah.
repeated child murder, but
Yeah.
it's also like very kid friendly otherwise. So it's
Yeah.
like
Like, there's
no
goofy
blood.
animals,
There's
like-
no blood in the movie. There's none.
like
And,
there's
like,
no
that
blood,
happened.
but there
Yeah.
is like repeated child murder by fire.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like the like today's rating system would give this a hard R because of all the child murder and sexual predatory stuff.
Yes.
So I just like the wild tone shift really was like I didn't like the only thing I could think of is like this is like for 9-year-olds who read Conan comics.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah.
Also the Beastmaster invented napalm, which is pretty cool for him. I don't know which animal told him how to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the tar pit thing.
His
it's like-
giant firebomb to take out the cultists.
Yeah.
Rip Torn's teeth. Like his prosthetic nose isn't bad, but his teeth are just straight up colored with black Sharpie.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's just eating licorice all day, and they're just like. But here's the thing: it's only old Rip Torn because young Rip Torn didn't have all that crud on his teeth. Like he just
Right.
stopped going to the
Yeah.
dentist after he was exiled.
Right. And here's my biggest gripe with this movie, and I've been saving this to now because this one is bothered the hell out of me, and I've been thinking about it ever since. So at the end of the movie, Dar Dar Banks turns down his opportunity to be king, and he's like, "Nah, little bro, you got it. You got the king thing. I'm gonna go talk to animals, right?" And he rolls out with the ferret, the baby ferrets, the eagle, the tiger, panther, or whatever, and his new girlfriend.
Right.
She's his cousin.
Oh, yeah.
There is that.
That is his cousin. His first cousin.
Well, here's the thing.
So I'm glad you brought this up. This is not lost on the director. Quote from Cascarelli.
Okay.
So there's this one sort of conundrum here, which is that his father's the king, but his brother is the heir, which makes Tanya's character his cousin. We never did address that correctly.
Yeah, because like early on, you don't know that the little kid's his brother. And the kid's like, "Oh, that slave girl, she's my cousin. You gotta go save her." And then later you find out they're brothers, and you're like, "Wait a minute, 2 + 2 + 2. Oh no."
But here's the thing: they're half brothers. They're half brothers.
Are they?
His mom died when she.
Oh, you're right. The wife died.
How could he have another brother with that same mom?
I forgot the wife died. I forgot the.
Did the mom die?
Yeah,
the mom did die. The mom did die in that. Yeah.
Okay, so can we tell ourselves that it's the cousin from the other half of the half?
So we could say it's
and
like,
it's not his. It's not actually his cousin. It's just the little brother's cousin.
We could say that to keep it less creepy.
We can tell ourselves that, but
or we could just say, it was a Giuliani. He pulled a Giuliani.
Well, I was gonna say it was like a Giuliani plus because at least Giuliani was the second cousin.
Right. Well, I also while we're on the director's thing, I want to give you a few little tidbits. I think these classify as things that didn't work, but they're behind the scenes. Quote from Peppermint, who is another writer. We actually had ambulances standing by, and there was a steady stream. Not that we're proud. And Coscarelli, I think people need to cut us some slack because this is a good 20 years before digital. So, like, they're watching this, and they're like, that's not good. Also, and I think this is actually, there's a scene where Dar, like, draws a circle with a line through it, and they just don't explain it at all. And the director, another quote, setting it up. The circle with a line through it, it's basically like the symbol of his village. And the quote from the director is, "It's my belief that nobody knows that." Like, but you're the director of the movie. You could have like put it on a gate. This is very easily solved. Like if you put it in the movie, like it's my belief that nobody knows that.
Yep. All right. Are we ready? Are we ready to say what the moral of the story is?
I am ready to say what the moral of the story.
No other closing thoughts before our morals.
I mean, if you want to watch this movie, watch Conan instead. Does that?
Oh, no. The recommendations come after the morals.
Oh,
But I
sorry.
mean,
Sorry.
any other beats from the movie we want to hit?
No, I think we covered a lot of it.
I think we're good.
Okay. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first. To me, the moral of the story. I don't think we covered this in the recap, but people can figure out by context. Don't send literally every young, able-bodied man in your isolated, defenseless village out into the fields all at once, in a world in which you know slaving raiders exist, just because you have one weirdly kind of boss, maybe kind of sort of not, old guy who's his dad, that may or may not wear straw diapers.
That's a good moral. It's a good moral. Red?
Leather thongs and diapers are uncomfortable. They can get sweaty and chafe. So to make sure that they stay nice and fresh, make sure you stuff them with straw and have a ventilation shaft open on the bottom. For comfort.
Please don't say shaft in relation to
A ventilation shaft north of the shaft.
Yes.
Yes, there we go.
All right. So my moral of the story is, or what I learned from this movie is, if you are a novelist who is optioning his story to become a screenplay, make sure your contract gives you some sort of control over the narrative. Blue alluded to this earlier when he talked a little bit about how different the novel character was. My notes have that in the novel, Dar is a Native American ex-soldier retired from Earth's military living in a space colony.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a little bit different than
are you saying that you didn't see that influence in this particular motion picture?
You know, I'm just not sure which planet they're on in which solar system. I mean, clearly this movie is science fiction and they're in space, but
you know what's crazy?
Because technically everything's in space.
I'm not gonna go into too much detail, but the actual in BeastMaster 2, it's actually in post-apocalyptic times, and they're looking for like an ancient nuclear weapon.
Oh!
Really?
Speaking of which, I have not seen any of the sequels, but I did look up to see that Mark Singer is in all of them. He's in all 3 movies and the TV show.
The directors had nothing to had nothing to do with the sequels.
No,
right.
But the second one, yes, Red, is post-apocalyptic. The third one, he travels through a portal to like our Earth, and he's like running around Main Street.
Yeah,
as the Beastmaster. I now, great. I've never seen any of them, but I did look this up.
Film.
So they did the same thing in Beastmaster 3 that ruined Masters of the Universe.
Yes. I think that one actually did come out after Masters of the Universe, so they totally bit that off of like.
Yeah. They're like, oh, let's just do this with Ferret.
Now, here's the thing. On kind of notes and recommendations, should you watch this movie? Why not? But should you watch a remake of this movie? Oh, definitely. I would give money to see a remake of Beastmaster.
Now,
I feel like this is going to be controversial, but you get trained animals this time. I think that would be a strong move from a movie studio.
Now, would this do better as a remake movie or as a like 10-episode limited series?
No, I want a full movie. Because they did a limited series, like a Beastmaster series. Like I want full budget, like CGI talking animals.
Well, here's the caveat though. Only one person has ever played the Beastmaster. And only one person ever will play the Beastmaster. So you're gonna have old ass Mark Singer in a leather.
He's gonna be in the movie, but he's gonna be like a cameo. He's gonna be the diapered old man.
Exactly.
Oh man. No, you know what it'd be though. They do one of those things where it's like it's not quite a reboot, not quite a remake, not quite a sequel.
Yeah.
Like they did give it the requel treatment, and Mark Singer would be the original Beastmaster, and he's like training his grandson or something.
Yeah.
Right. Oh god, or like Spock in the Star Trek movie. Like they do something. They do.
Yeah. Exactly. Like Spock in the J.J. Abrams one.
Yeah, exactly.
We're like, he's still the Beastmaster, but he's old, and now there's a young one. Like, it would be Oh, that would be a chef's
The
kiss.
chef's kiss.
Yeah, so yeah, you can. I'll set like, listen, you can, and again, this is speaking as someone who watched it and liked it as a kid, and like now knows this movie is bad, but like it's still fun. It's like, to me, the perfect like cable movie is just like campy, and you don't need to pay attention or give a crap about it. And like this does that. This is like life top, life top. Sometimes watch Beastmaster. Like,
So
you know.
for for a
Like,
for a final rating, 1 out of 10 dead ferrets. How many would you give it?
I don't like this rating scale at all. Okay, hold on. Are we rating this on like we're movie critics and we're gauging this
I
as
don't
a
know.
movie, or like
It's how many dead ferrets you think this movie is worth?
uh, 5.5?
Okay, I'll give it that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna give this movie 4 flung ferrets. Because at the end of the day, I still wish we watched Neverending Story instead.
You just want to
This-
see me cry when Artax sinks into the swamp.
This brought back some old childhood memories, and there was definitely not any nudity on the TBS version because I was just like, there's no way that would have made it past censors. So I'd give it I don't know, 7 exploded ferrets in a burning pylon. With that, we'll call it a night. Keep mastering beasts.
Unless you're just a beast journeyman.